I'm here with János Pásztor, the Executive Secretary of the High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability. Welcome at the German Development Institute.
Thank you.
Mr. Pásztor, you're joining us today to present the report Resilient People, Resilient Planet, a future worth choosing by the High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability. Before we will talk about the report, let me ask you this. How important is it for you to interact with think tanks and research institutions like the German Development Institute?
It is actually quite important, and I should say that even before the report was completed, we were interacting with a number of institutions like the German Development Institute while we were preparing the report. But now that the report is done, while there are many good recommendations, many good ideas, we do hope that the report will not just be a focus for the recommendations and their implementation, but also for discussion, further discussion and new ideas and other ideas on how to improve on sustainable development. And that's exactly the role of development institutes like yours. And so we look forward to engagement now and in the future with such institutions.
The High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability drafted 56 recommendations of how to put sustainable development into practice and how to mainstream it into economic policy. Could you briefly highlight the 3 or 4 recommendations that you consider to be the most important ones?
Yes, it's a difficult choice because there are many recommendations and there are many important ones. But if you ask me for my personal choice, I would go for 4. And I would like to suggest institutions, then science, gender, and economic issues. And let me explain what I mean by that. First, institutions is very important because it's we have lots of good ideas, but it's through the institutions that we're able to implement those ideas. So we need appropriate institutions for sustainable development, and we don't have all of them in place. So the panel makes a number of recommendations that form a package. There are 2 or 3 recommendations, but it's together is one package. The second one relates to science, the importance of science. We need to ensure that whatever we do on sustainable development is really properly based on scientific facts and scientific analysis, and then go further from there, such as planetary boundaries. We have to understand better how those work and what they mean. The third item relates to gender, and we're really leaving out half of humanity out of sustainable development, of the economic growth, and the panel makes a number of very important recommendations in relation to this. And finally, and this is in some ways is perhaps the most important one, is the economics, because if we don't change our economic system, then the whole development and economic system will not be able to deliver sustainable development. And there are a number of recommendations on moving from short-term to longer-term, particularly in the area of investment, that are of particular importance.
The Rio+20 Summit will take place in June 2012 to mark the 20th anniversary of the Rio Earth Summit. How does the report of the High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability relate to the main themes of the Rio Summit, which are green economy and sustainable development?
When the Secretary General set up this panel, this was not meant to be a direct input to the Rio+20 process. In fact, it was decided even before governments decided to have a Rio+20. Nevertheless, Rio+20 is the most important UN conference that is coming up in the foreseeable future, and therefore, throughout the time of the preparation of the report, the panel was very conscious to try to be relevant also for Rio+20. And while the exact subjects and topics chosen by the panel are not exactly the same as the agenda of Rio+20, there is a very strong overlap between the issues. And in fact, I think we could say quite comfortably that most of the issues that are addressed by the panel will find a place somewhere under those agenda items that you have mentioned. In particular, on green economy. The panel discussed this at length, and it came to a conclusion that it was better not to focus on the color of the economy, but on the content. And that's, you find a lot of, maybe a third of the recommendations or even more are actually related to how to make the economy greener and more sustainable. In the area of sustainable development, well, the report provides in toto a blueprint for a new approach to sustainable development. And that's what the report is all about. So we do hope that it will be very helpful for the negotiations for Rio+20.
Mr. Pásztor, thank you so much for joining us today here at the German Development Institute in Bonn.
You're welcome.